Dear friends, today we are going to talk about the soul. The topic is immense, but we are not writing a dissertation, so everything will be brief and to the point. Can the soul be measured? Register it. And thus prove the very fact of its existence? Or are all our arguments just a shaking of the air? After all, look, here are two people, a convinced materialist supporter of science, an idealist, argue about the soul. And each has his own arguments, his own logic. Materialist, soul is just a good fairy tale for adults, a religious myth and only that. No one has seen any soul, no one has registered it, no one has photographed it, all this is fantasy and illusion. We are afraid of death, so we believe in some immortality, allegedly granted by God to our soul. Idealist, on the contrary, throughout history people have believed in the animated personality. Both the ancient Egyptians and the Greeks all believed in the human soul. And in the afterlife, which is available to the soul but not to the body. As for registration and fixation, nobody has seen the electron, but all science is sure of its existence, and moreover, it is sure that the electron also contains a nucleus and particles. Therefore it is more correct to say, at the moment the soul is not registered, but what will be tomorrow? The day after tomorrow. But the facts of leaving the body exist, they cannot be dismissed. I am talking about clinical death and people who came back from the other world, about psychics and other phenomena. Materialist, all these stories, an obvious speculation of the theme of miracles, and in fact there is only the brain and its activity. In clinical death there is oxygen deprivation, so you have visions, flights, light at the end of the tunnel. Note that only a few % of those who have undergone clinical death talk about the flight of the soul. Not all of them. But people believe in the soul, it's much calmer, it gives them hope for immortality. Idealist, you reduce everything to the fear of death, but somehow you forget that there is a science of soul, psychology, psychiatry. If there is no soul, then all your PhDs are frauds? Just talkers and that's all. By the way, tell me, what real instruments do they use to make a diagnosis? None? But why don't you call them fantasies or storytellers? Materialist, wait a minute, that's manipulation. If you want to argue about medicine, we are not going to get anywhere. Nobody said medicine is perfect. But let's talk specifically about the soul. And if we talk about science, most scientists are convinced atheists, take Ulyanov Lenin, or Richard Dawkins, or Stephen Hawking. They are sure that there is no good-looking grey-bearded uncle on a cloud, busy with the fate of people or every sparrow, but there are immutable laws of physics, nature, and when I die, my body will rot and myself will disappear. Idealist, there you go, manipulating such a weak argument as the majority opinion, the majority of scientists. And yet in science, majority means nothing. Absolutely. Science is developed, making breakthroughs, by a few who deny the views of the majority. Besides, many well-renowned scientists have come to completely opposite views. What did Jung write about? That soon the boundary between the worlds will thin and this threatens mankind with great upheavals. And what did the Titan theorist Max Planck say? I consider consciousness fundamental, matter is a derivative of consciousness. I would also remind you that the Russian scientist Natalia Baktereva, who studied the brain and headed a specialized institute, came to the conclusion that we see many things that we are unable to explain. Many facts prove that there is that world. I myself had a period in my life when I talked to my deceased husband. I am a person of faith and I am convinced that there is a soul. Materialist, once again we come to subjective opinion. Notice that Baktereva in no way proves that the soul exists, this is only her opinion. The brain exists, and she conducted complex experiments, treated people, but the soul? Where are the experiments? Where are the facts? No. Everything can be explained by simple physical processes, and the experiences of people who have lost loved ones do not confirm the existence of the soul. Idealist, I see. You do not accept facts that contradict your theory, and this is the basis of your position. But even something as simple as wind is invisible to us. The air we breathe is invisible. But everyone sees the broken trees, signs of a hurricane or tornado. Doesn't that prove the existence of wind? For comparison, I will name the traces that are left after the soul leaves the body. The first case, a man experienced a state of clinical death during his stay in the hospital. Doctors were working on him, and he saw it all from the outside. But in a moment he became interested in what was happening to his buddies who were celebrating May 1st, and immediately found himself in the house where they were gathered. Not only did he see everything they were doing, saw his fiancée flirting with a friend, but he also heard them arguing about political topics, which at the time were quite dangerous. When he was brought back to life, when he recovered and met up with his friends, they were overly surprised that he knew exactly the gist of their political argument, their lines. And this is no joke or hoax. Based on similar out-of-body travel, secret departments in the USSR monitored the campaigns of American submarines. There were operators among the officers, snipers, who managed to accurately find the targets. 80% or more of the predictions hit the bullseye. And here is an absolutely astonishing fact. In the KGB of the USSR for more than 20 years worked Mo, who caused irreparable damage to the country, gave the CIA 8,000 secret sources, killed hundreds of agents, served until retirement, remaining above suspicion, and even then, attracted by the intelligence services, lectured to young cadets. And this spy was identified by the same psychic officers. The last name of this ideological enemy is General Polyakov. No facts and no devices like a lie detector found him, and only after the involvement of psychics, that is, fraudsters, if you look at it from a scientific point of view, they decided to check him. And my God, they found evidence and facts. And the last fact, which has already been mentioned in another video, a scientist-physicist, Vladimir Efremov, being in a state of clinical death, found a solution to the problem, attention, on which his design office struggled for 2 years, and returning to work, successfully applied the knowledge obtained in the other world. All these are examples of wind, its broken branches. Figuratively speaking. This is the end of our argument. Everyone has the right to doubt and decide for himself where the truth is. And the time of devices fixing other kinds of matter, including that which we call soul, will still come. After all, since some time the aura of plants is fixed with special photo equipment, although earlier the word aura itself was considered a delusion of mystics. I will add that at the present moment our knowledge about space, dark matter, gravity, does not fit into the framework of theories, and it is assumed that our soul is somehow connected with this information energy field, is a part of it, its smallest grain. Good day, dear friends.
Let's unpack this. Today we're taking a deep dive into one of humanity's most enduring and mysterious questions. What truly happens after we die? And, what is the fundamental nature of consciousness itself? We've pulled together insights from a really fascinating collection of sources. We're talking deeply personal accounts of near-death experiences, the bold, maybe even controversial conclusions of a pioneering neurobiologist, ancient spiritual traditions.
This channel is about mysticism, unsolved mysteries, and inexplicable phenomena of our world. Subscribe and view videos.